Yes, brother.
A question regarding you mentioned the names. You said you lived in this country names like Collinsville and Moores.
Yeah.
What are the Islamic equivalents to those names, like the original root?
It appears that the Melungeon people forced into the interior. First, they were forced to change their name to Portuguese names. So some of them are Portuguese-based names, Goins and names like this. And they were also mixed with the native population and with the British, French people, the other people, some of them mixed. And so they became all mixed up. But these are the names now that they're tracing through the lineages to the Melungeons in the southeastern part of the United States. And Brent Kennedy has a book called The Melungeons. And that book is actually on sale. If anybody's interested in the book, it is called The Melungeons. That's Melungeons, The Resurrection of a Proud People. And it's published by Mercer University Press, 1994. That's in Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia. You can get the book, and it's an amazing book, and the work that is being done. The Melungeons, The Resurrection of a Proud People, by Brent Kennedy. There was brothers, and when I gave this talk in New York City and in other places, brothers stood up and said, "My name is Goins, man." And and one of them said his wife has got the disease, and she's a Muslim, and their family is definitely Melungeon family. So this is a very important discovery for us in terms of giving dawah to the people living here in America. The floor is open now for questions. Sisters, is also permissible for you to ask a question if you want to. Yes, brother.
Repeat the question.
Melungeon is Melungeons. Melungeons. And if anybody wants to get that information, you can get it up here afterwards also. Yes, brother. Alaikum salam.
Another brother was here before. He mentioned Saga America.
Yeah. This is by Barry Fell, F-E-L-L.
But it's very difficult to get that.
Very difficult.
Because I went to Walden, I think, and they told me it would be like 3 months if that's,
So what you have to do, you have to access one of the real big libraries. Like University of Toronto Library is a massive library. So you gotta access like a Columbia University, or I don't know, down in Florida here, which university would be the biggest library here? Here in this university? Right, in Orangeville? Yeah, okay, get the one that has a real big library. Otherwise, maybe you can get it through the, you can apply for it, through the library system. Barry Fell, F-E-L-L, Saga America. He has another book called America BC, but the one that interests us as Muslims is Saga America. It's an amazing find.
Another was Kutum Amir, I think it was.
The other, Leo Weiner.
Kutum Amir, right? Kutum Amir, it's another book the brother was here.
Yeah. I'm not sure, I don't know about that one. Leo Weiner, Africa and the Discovery of America. Another book difficult to find, because what they do is liquidate the books, man. The ones that are against their scholarship. Ayden Van Sertima has done some good work from Rutgers University. His books are pretty good too. He's balanced. He's not a insane Afrocentric. If you know what I'm talking about. Dr. Ben and them. He's not like that, man. He's not like that. Ayden Van Sertima. Van Sertima, S-E-R-T-I-M-A. African Presence in Early America. No, he's out to lunch, man. He's out to lunch, man. Floor is open for any questions. Everybody's hungry? The food is here, I think. Floor is open. Okay, number one, I'm originally from America, from Boston, but I live in Canada. So I use that as my first excuse because this is really kind of a confusing issue because there's so many things involved in it at once. Okay, but I think from an Islamic point of view, really, Minister Farrakhan, although he has the ability to express himself clearer than almost anybody I've ever heard in English language, but whenever he speaks about Islam, it's totally confusing. It's confusing. Because at some points it appears like, he's saying he's a Muslim. Other points it appears like he's following what is known as the first resurrection of Elijah Muhammad. And that we know is clearly saying that Allah is a man, wal-iyadhu billah, and that Elijah Muhammad is the messenger of Allah. And that we have gone past that stage now into the light of true Islam. And there's no need to go back into that. That was a phase. There's no need to go back into it. But it appears from what he's saying that that's really what his position is. And so based upon that, it is very difficult for a Muslim to be really supporting somebody like that. It would be like supporting Dajjal, like, the Antichrist, like, or a false prophet or something like that, really, But what is confusing is that there really is a need for some of these issues facing the African American community to come to the open. And the problem of African American men is a great problem in terms of the pressure being put on by the society and the genocide that is clearly going on. Look at the prison system, look at drugs, look at what's going on in America. It's a definite genocide. And so the issue is an important issue that Muslims need to address. But I think, what has come forward from the leadership of most of the Muslim groups that I know of, the leadership position basically is not really to support openly the demonstration, but at the same time, we're not bashing it. We're not going on TV and talking against people because that's what the system wants. They want people to be fighting each other publicly and a lot of confusion like that. So really, I couldn't tell you to support something, with the presence of a man who said Allah is a man. Can't do it, man.
Can I just ask a question to follow up on that? What are the Muslim leaders' duties towards Brother Farrakhan? Is he leaving him alone, getting conflict?
Well, Minister Farrakhan actually, those who know him, okay, the question is, what is the Muslim duty concerning Minister Farrakhan? And those who know him know that he is a highly intelligent person, and he is a well-read person. And actually, you may be surprised to know that after Elijah Muhammad died, say around 1975, so around 76, 77, he had entered Islam. He made Hajj to Mecca. Rabatat al-Alam al-Islami, Dr. Abdullah Nasif, personally came to Chicago, brought him to Mecca. He made the Hajj. He sat with Muhammad Qutb and other scholars in Mecca and other parts. People have come to him. Imam Siraj Wahhaj knows him personally, used to be his minister. He has gone to him personally. Brother Abdul Malik, who's in Orlando, was very close to him and knew him personally, spent time with him personally. But the reality is, he's making a choice, man. And you can't force anybody. La ikraha fi din. Qad tabayyana ar-rushdu min al-ghay. There is no compulsion in religion. Truth stands clear from falsehood. So the message has been given to him very clearly. But we cannot say we don't ask Allah to guide him. Because the Prophet, peace be upon him, prayed even for Abu Jahl, and he prayed for Umar ibn Khattab, who was at one point the enemy of Islam. He prayed for them to come into the faith, to strengthen Islam. So you can pray for the man and try to give him the message, and maybe Allah, inshallah, will open his heart. But in the present condition, we have to stand for the truth. And he is a man, we are all people, we die. And when we die, then our message is gone. But Islam will stay. So I want to look at the whole thing in a positive way. If African Americans and Spanish Americans and Native Americans, are introduced to Islam by this, then eventually the truth has to come. If they see Islam as a positive force, then eventually, inshallah, if we do our job, the truth will come. Because Islam is going to stay and people will go. So we have to try to be positive and upbeat and not feel depressed. Look at it positively. Really what is happening is, inshallah, it will eventually be a victory for Islam. Inshallah. If in an Islamic conflict and you have to go to the court to solve it, non-Muslim judge, do you have any other ways to solve the conflict? Now, this is a very difficult situation because we are not in a Muslim country. And so therefore, really, you cannot establish an Islamic court properly unless you have authority in the land. You have to have sultan. If you don't have sultan, you cannot really establish an Islamic court and make the hudud, the punishments of Islam, unless you really have power in the land. So we are in a weak position in this part of the world in terms of law. But what we are trying to do is to have a council of imams, or have councils where all the masjids are involved in the council, and then people in the community can raise their problems to the council and make an Islamic tribunal, and we try to solve some of the problems within our own community. We in Toronto, we have a serious problem too in a masjid. People are in court in Toronto, and it's bigger than the one you got. So it's a problem all over the place. And we have to try as best as we can, to be humble with each other and with Islamic sources, and to try to solve it amongst ourselves. It says if the Islamic religion was the global religion during the Dark Ages, then why does history not record it? Why are young people not taught these things in history class? Because history in this part of the world, we used to call it his story. It's not my story. History is taught in what they call a Eurocentric point of view. What that means is that your educational system, even in the university here, your educational system focuses on Europe. Greenwich Mean Time in London, not in Timbuktu, West Africa, is in London. Middle East, middle from where? Far East, far from where? You understand what I'm saying? So therefore, it is a Eurocentric point of view, and we need to have what we could call Mecca-centric. That our history centers on our faith, and it goes out from Mecca. So the way they write history, and I used to ask this question as a young child, Christopher Columbus discovers America. He comes to the shore, look at the picture of Chris, he comes on shore, and the people are standing there. And he talks to them in Spanish and saying, I conquer you, I control you. And they probably said, cool down, man. He drinks some water. And they brought him on shore, cooled him out, and then he set to destroying them. Okay? But the history book said Christopher Columbus discovered America, and the people are standing there. That's intellectual genocide. You destroy people. That is what has happened in the West in order to justify the system of oppression and racism established over the past 400 years. That is what we are recognizing in this part of the world. And so we have to rewrite history and tell it from our point of view. Christopher Columbus was discovered in 1492. You understand that sentence? He was discovered because he was lost. He didn't know where he was, and when he got back to Spain, he couldn't describe properly where he had been. That is the reality. Okay, some of these questions are a little bit off the topic. They're a little bit off the topic. I want to stay sort of close to the topic that we're dealing with. How do you recognize and then address when culture clashes with Islam? That is done by understanding the sources of Islam, by being able to go back to the pure sources of Islam, understand Islam from Quran and Sunnah, right, from the righteous scholars in the early generations. If you can understand Islam from that point of view, then you can look at your culture and see if your practice is a Hindu practice or a Christian practice or a Jewish practice or some other kind of practice. Then you can tell. But if you just base your Islam on what was done in your country, then this is where the confusion is. So you go back to the sources, then you will be able to tell and distinguish between what is Islam and what is not. What does a sincere Muslim do when the community he lives in is divided and he is not agreeing with any of the both camps? What should a Muslim do? In one tradition, as part of the tradition, it said that we should follow the Amir, follow your leadership. And if there's no Amir, there's no leaders, then go away from all of the groups and hang on to your faith until Allah takes your life. That is an extreme position. But really, I think that we have to try to work with the communities, try to be positive, and support proper leadership. Support the people who are standing up for the issue according to the Quran and Sunnah in the proper way. If not, then we have to form the type of communities where this disunity does not exist. Okay, and each situation has got its own specifics to it. Each place, there's no straight answer to it. And this is one of the fitnas that we are living in, that in many cases it's like a gray area. And it's hard sometimes to distinguish between one side or another. It says, is it a sin to miss your sunnah prayers? Okay, this is a little bit off the topic. But you should try to do your sunnah as much as possible, or your salat, especially tatawwa. That sunnah that the Prophet ﷺ did constantly, you should try to do it. But it is not fard. It is not something you will be punished by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for if you miss, because it's not fard. Okay, in terms of the family situation, we had a forum yesterday dealing with the Muslim family. And it was a workshop, an interactive workshop. And one of the brothers has taped it. So I want to ask if it's possible for the brother, inshallah, to, through the MSA here and through Mina, if we can get this tape available. Sure. Then I would give permission in terms, just send me a copy, but I give you permission to sell it for, give it out, whatever you want to do. But let people get to the tape to get the information. Also, we're asking the brothers and sisters of Mina and the MSA to also take the information points, because the people brought out what are the problems facing youth and families, husband and wife, and then we brought some practical solutions to the problem. We want to bring this out and to make a position paper on the family that came out of the workshop, inshallah. Pride, what is the difference between pride and dignity? Dignity is when, in English, if you're proud of your origins, it means that you're not ashamed. It means that you say, this is where I am. You're not ashamed of your color. You're not ashamed of your appearance. You're not ashamed of your language. You're not ashamed of your family. You're not ashamed of your religion. Okay, that's proud in the sense of, that's dignity in a sense. This is like you're dignified. But pride and takabbur and the arrogance that I'm talking about is when you look down on other people based upon how Allah created you. Based on some of this material, artificial means, you're looking down on everybody else and you think you're better than everybody else based upon these things. That is the kibriya, takabbur type of thing that I was talking about in that area. So I would like to conclude by saying that if anything was offensive to you, then I ask Allah to forgive me. If you have learned anything, then that is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and not from me. And I end subhanakallahumma bihamdika nashhadu an la ilaha illa ant nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Wal 'asr innal insana lafi khusr illa alladhina amanu wa 'amilus salihat wa tawasaw bil haqq wa tawasaw bis sabr. Wa sallallahu ta'ala ala sayyidina Muhammad wa alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Wassalamu alaikum.